Hello, friends. Haven't talked to you in a while. Something came up today. I'm on that WikiLeaks feed, popped up on my phone, and I checked this out. And I see that President Obama is working quite closely with this leftist candidate for French president. I find this most foul, but very typical of a deep state operative. Many times in the past, people have accused Mr. Obama of being some type of operative for the CIA. And, I'm not sure if it's went exactly like that, but for sure right now, he is definitely functioning still as a political force, or he's trying to influence elections overseas, which, as I'm about to point out, is a very typical activity for people that are in the deep state. Right now, let's look at this senator. This is a senator I personally had never even heard of before, to tell you the truth. But when I look this up, I see that he's had quite a few comments on this, and this one comment here in particular is very telling.
View.
All right, let me get that started
Director
again.
Clapper, I'm going to spend most of my time probably reflecting on some of the comments that you've made. The glass house comment is something I think is very important. There's been research done by a professor up at Carnegie Mellon that's estimated that the United States has been involved in one way or another in 81 different elections since World War II. That doesn't include coups or regime changes, so tangible evidence where we've tried to affect an outcome to our purpose. Russia's done it some 36 times. In fact, when Russia apparently was trying to influence our election, we had the Israelis accusing us of trying to influence their election. So I'm not here to talk about that, but I am here to say that we live in a big glass house, and there are
Which is a fact. We did try to influence the Israeli election. It didn't work. We used NGOs to do that, and that's typically what we do to destabilize countries and bring in what we call regime change. So, like I said, this was on the WikiLeaks today. You can go there and check out. There's a whole bunch of other interesting things there. But what I want to talk about in particular is the duplicitous nature of this guy dealing with Obama when he knows for a fact that the United States used the CIA and the NSA and other foreign assets, as they always do, and tried to influence the French election in 2012. And he's working with him directly now, boldly and out in the open. It's really disgusting. Every Frenchman should be embarrassed and shamed by this man, because clearly he's treasonous. A voter in France should not give a care about what I think or what Mr. Obama thinks. We're Americans. We're not Frenchmen. We don't have any right to have any say in your destiny or the way you govern yourselves. And that is a natural fact. But yet, we continuously do this, as the senator pointed out, possibly 81 times since the 50s. No doubt, every country tries to do this, and I don't think the Russians are particularly successful, although we have sunk to some pretty low levels. One I would like to talk to you about is one that a lot of leftists don't want to listen to. And when they hear someone like, say, Alex Jones say something that sounds seemingly crazy, like Sandy Hook was a false flag or something like that. And let's remember, a false flag is not something that didn't happen. Sandy Hook happened. What he's saying is that it didn't go down like they said. It didn't happen for the reasons they said, and there's facts left out of the story. So, that's completely true. That's what he was trying to get across when he said it was a false flag. So, one example of false flags that have been used throughout history is this strategy of tension. And it has been used very successfully and sometimes unsuccessfully overseas. In Europe in particular, there were several times. You can read this article. It's on military.com's wiki. And it explains the strategy of tension and how it was used in the late 60s and early 70s, how it went later on to be used all over Western Europe. And people died, man. They blew people up for political reasons. They made it look like it was this group or that group doing it. I think in this particular case, in the first case, I think it was right-wingers trying to make it look like left-wingers did it, right? So it was supported far-right terrorist groups in Turkey, where communism was growing in popularity. So in that case, they used far-right groups to try to control, a communist threat. If you ask me if they had any faith in capitalism, they wouldn't have worried about some ridiculous communists. They're just going to ruin their economy. I mean, come on, have a little faith. Anyway, the reason I'm going through all this, seemingly ancient history from the 60s and 70s is to show you that it's not beyond the realm of possibility that a government would initiate some type of violence and try to make it look like, it was another group entirely. And what Alex Jones was saying, and what a lot of times people are saying about these false flags, is people are mishearing that term. They think false flags means it didn't happen. No, they're saying it happened, but they're saying that the way it happened is not as it appears. Okay? So that all needs to be cleared up. And another time that the government did this type of tension strategy was in Iran. In '53, there was a coup to overthrow this guy. I always mispronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try. Mossadegh, and and he was overthrown, and the Shah was put in power, who was this phony royalty that they had cooked up for the Persians as a way to control their oil over there. And that's the reason we have problems with Iran today. So another time, when you hear a term like blowback, this is what we're talking about. These giant overseas interventions in people's lives and governments and politics overseas that blow back on us and cause people to hate us and want to harm us. So what I'm getting at here is the government is doing a lot of things. You see in certain situations that they're using social media to manipulate us. You see them using it as to militarize social media even. So the people that you're dealing with on social media probably, some of them don't even really believe what they're saying, and some of them are actually literally paid shills, sometimes even by the government. But there's other things too, like here in this instance where Hillary Clinton had these groups behind her that were founded by David Brock, and millions and millions of dollars were spent for people to go on the internet and show for Hillary Clinton and make Bernie Sanders look bad. So to refute the Bernie Bros and their popular uprising, this is what they did. They spent millions of dollars on this, and yet the left still is upset because this woman was not elected. They should be glad. They should try to beat Trump and come back. Is what they should do, not these tactics that they're using, just supporting the CIA and the FBI and all these things. But I want you to know that a lot of the stuff that you've heard that are conspiracy theories are actually true. You really should look into it. And when you hear about us doing something like influencing an election overseas, you should think about the past and the historical. These things I'm telling you about, Operation Gladio and the strategy of tension, this isn't some type of theory I have. This is a historical fact. To deny it is like to deny that the Vietnam War was, trumped up for phony reasons or any other number of things. Once again, some of the Gulf of Tonkin stuff did happen, but they tried to make it look different. So they tried to make it look like it was a provocation, an act of war, and it was not. And this is what people mean by when they say a false flag. This is what people mean when they say tension strategy. And the idea of us complaining about intervening in elections is quite ridiculous. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.